The NBA Finals are set. But guess what? We're getting the same matchup 4 years in a row. Here's one thing about Money in the Bank. We're guaranteed to have 2 new briefcase holders.
No, maybe that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Break It Down with Brian H. Guess what? Money in the Bank. The matchups are set. And let's get right into it. But before we go there, make sure you're tweeting me at Brian H. Waters. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. Make sure you like the Facebook page, Brian H. Waters. And of course, it would not all be possible without the Wrestling Realm, which is at Wrestling Realm with a W. Make sure you are like and subscribe. Let's get right into today's show. So, SmackDown in the main event, they finally added their 4th competitor for the Money in the Bank matchup, and that is Samoa Joe. If you watch the match, you will see that, or if you watch the show from the beginning, you know, he went out there, he got very personal with Daniel Bryan, started mentioning his daughter, and that's just one thing you don't do. But if it's one thing we learned about Samoa Joe since he's arrived to the WWE, that he just doesn't care. He does not care what he says. He will do whatever he wants. He's not one of those heels that's going out there to sell a t-shirt. He's not one of those people that's happy to be in WWE. No, he's out there to do one thing. That's kick butt, take names, and win championships. That is the reason why he was a 2-time NXT champion. So now he goes out there, says what he says to Daniel Bryan, talks about his baby girl. And that, of course, sparked the rage in DB. DB comes out there and says, you know, we ain't got to fight later. We can fight now. And then I was annoyed because here comes Big Cass. Cass comes out there and, you know, I'm just not feeling this guy. When he walks out there, he's annoying. His interest is annoying. Maybe that's what he's supposed to do, but when you're 7 foot, he looks just like a big goof, as my friends over at the Flex Zone say, a big goofy. He says that Paige has made the change the match, that now he's cleared, so it's going to be him versus Samoa Joe. Little did he know the match would be made to a triple threat match. Great match. Probably the most entertaining in the ring I've seen Cass, and I'm sure it wasn't because of him. In the end, it was Samoa Joe causing DB, Daniel Bryan, to submit through he made him pass out, so the win is through submission. And now Samoa Joe is going to Money in the Bank, and he could grab that briefcase. Can you just imagine if Samoa Joe grabs the briefcase and cashes in on AJ Styles to become the new WWE champion? How sweet would that be? For all the fans out there who are TNA fans, I'm pretty sure you would love it. I mean, guess what? Your guys have went from TNA when they was in Florida, and a smaller scale, you know, yeah, they did some travel, but they made it to the big leagues, a place where you guys said, oh, Vince would never use them, never know how to use them, and they would win the ultimate prize. Samoa Joe would win the WWE Championship. How cool would that be? So, but more, I'll get into predictions, as I said before. I'll get into predictions as we get closer to the show. What a Father's Day weekend that's going to be. Only thing to make it better, if we could get another Game 7 of the NBA Finals, maybe, like we did 2 years ago when the Shield won the title. All 3 members of the Shield held the title in one night. And then we move on to the women on Monday Night Raw in the main event. It was Sasha Banks, ladies and gentlemen, qualifying for Money in the Bank. The one match that the women have had that she has not been in. Now she'll get her chance because she grabbed the briefcase. But one thing, so the match began with Bayley and I believe it was Liv Morgan. It was Bayley and Liv Morgan. Bayley made short work out of her. So now you think, okay, Bayley's going to try to get through. I love the way it started off because what it looked like was that she understood what she was up against and having to pace herself, but she also had the quicker the wins, the sooner she could get and rested for the next opponent. So she took out Liv Morgan and she took out Sarah Logan, but then she had to deal with Ruby Riott. And of course, Liv and Sarah was not going to let that happen. Ruby Riott would eliminate Bayley. And Ruby Riott would go on to look strong as she would go take out Dana Brooke and the hometown hero, Mickie James, I was there. Shout out to Glenn Thomas of Fox Sports 1340, 96.9 FM down in Hopewell, Virginia, for blessing me and a few of my friends with those tickets. So got a chance to go to Monday Night Raw, 2 wrestling shows within a month. So talk about a blessing. First time I've actually been to 2 shows in the same road to a pay-per-view. But I got a chance to go there just to hear that crowd reaction. And you heard the RVA chants, and for those, I'm assuming that stood for Richmond, Virginia. So if it didn't, somebody tweet me and correct me. But I was just making an assumption it stood for Richmond, Virginia. But Mickie James went out there, and Mickie still has it, but unfortunately, Ruby Riott got the win, but then it was Sasha Banks getting it done, and she will be going on to Money in the Bank, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Charlotte and Becky Lynch, they've already qualified. This week on SmackDown, Charlotte, they was pretty much telling each other, like, look, we got to win this. And it goes to show you every man and every woman for themselves. Well, Paige walked up in this conversation. Next week, we're going to get Charlotte versus Becky Lynch. I really want to see what happens with Becky Lynch. I would love to see, I know we say all the time, the heel turn, the face turn, but I would love to see Becky turn heel. I haven't seen it, so I want to see how that would happen. We've seen Charlotte as a heel. I do believe that Charlotte's a better heel. I believe she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time. You've heard me say that on multiple occasions. But I would really love to see what could Becky Lynch do. Becky Lynch and Bayley are 2 women that I want to see make a character change. Just feel like it's gotten a little stale. We've seen everything they possibly can do in their current roles. So let's see a character change. So I can't wait for that match because we know it's going to be fire next week. But I want to get into, because we're going to stay with the women early on this show, because guess what? So we respect women's wrestling. I want to dig deep into the Nia Jax Ronda Rousey feud. Nia Jax came out and it was a local jobber, and Nia Jax said to Ronda Rousey, this girl is going to pretend to be you, and she went to show her all the moves that she was going to do to her, and even so much as having the young lady put Nia in the armbar so that Nia could prove that she could get out of it. So I saw a lot of talk on the internet, and I have to address it. A lot of people say, oh, so Nia was the bully the whole time. Alexa Bliss was right. That's not a bully. The bully would be her taunting Ronda Rousey and her, making fun of her. To me, even if she would have brought up the fact that Ronda Rousey cried after she lost to Holly Holm and brought up the fact that she was suicidal, that's what I would consider bullying. What I saw was Nia Jax being extra confident, saying, I'm the women's champion, you're not. I am somebody that you've never seen before. You've been in the ring, in the octagon, I should say, with all these smaller women. You've never seen anybody like me. That's what I see. That's what I want to see. So I don't think it was necessarily bullying. And it made for great television. And what I saw was a confident Nia Jax. She went out there, she told the little girls how important it was to instill the confidence. And guess what? She did that weeks later after her PSA at Backlash. So I thought it was funny how she just dropped the mic and walked away from Ronda Rousey. So I'm like, you're really going to act like this woman is not one of the most dangerous women in the world? Okay, that shows a lot of confidence. I loved it. And back to SmackDown, we were treated to a dance-off between Lana and Naomi. And what I loved about it was it looked like they were having fun. And when they did the kid and play dance and all that other stuff. But in the end, it was Lana hitting I'm going to call it a ravishing, rude awakening on Naomi, and just to kind of remind her, hey, it's not all about fun and games. These two women will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match together, and if Naomi wants to win a title, there's no time for dancing. She need to go grab that briefcase. She can celebrate later once she get her belt back. So that was great. And then Asuka and Carmella, their feud continues. Asuka took on Mandy Rose. Now here's my thing. So we got Asuka coming up, and we got Carmella for the women's SmackDown Live women's title. Part of me wants to believe that Carmella's going to win, because at the end of the day, Asuka already lost at WrestleMania. So when is Asuka going to start losing matches? You know? But then I understand not having Mandy Rose beat her clean, but I thought this would have been a good opportunity for Mandy Rose to kind of get a sneak win. I said this on time, the second episode of Break It Down with Brian H. I do not like win streaks in wrestling, especially Lesnar holding the belt, but that's a different story. I don't like win streaks in wrestling. I don't think, because once they're over, where do you go? So that's what I'm at with that one. Let's take a quick break.
Yo, this is Malik Smith with the No Rules Podcast, and you're listening to Break It Down with Brian H., brought to you by the Wrestling Round.
And I am back, ladies and gentlemen. That was Malik from the No Rules Podcast. Make sure you check them out. You heard Aaron last week. I was on their show this past weekend. It was me and Raphael King, who you'll be hearing from coming up next week. I'll be having him on. He'll be the first guest of Break It Down with Brian H. But we was on there. We got a chance to talk some wrestling, especially after SmackDown making a $5 billion deal with Fox. So we talked about that. We even talked some music. Now, obviously, I'm not the biggest rap fan, so I left that up to the experts, but it's one of my favorite podcasts to listen to each and every week. So it was a true pleasure to be on there. So let's move on. The MVP of the WWE Monday Night Raw brand, Seth Rollins, took on Jinder Mahal. And I tell you one thing, Jinder, he's over as a heel. And when I mean over as a heel, the people love to boo him. Maybe they just don't like him. But there's no denying the fact that when he's out there, they're giving him all the energy as opposed to being silent. You had Seth Rollins, who, and somebody posed this question: is Seth Rollins a better heel or better face? Now, my instincts always say, okay, he's a better heel. I remember when he's one of the few people who, when he won his first WWE championship, that I wasn't bored with the title reign, or it was just didn't seem awkward. Like, he hit the ground running and kept going. But now, as a face, as the Intercontinental Champion, he is holding that title with so much prestige. And the IC title was always known as the workhorse title. And that's exactly what it looks like when Seth Rollins holds it. He is the workhorse of the WWE right now. One of them, I should say. So I watched him, and him and Jinder, they had a great match. What I didn't like is the fact that Seth got himself disqualified. But that's also me. You kind of reading in too much of it, because wait, baby faces don't get themselves disqualified, but he did. But what happened afterwards is our top rope of the week.
Going up to the top rope.
It's time for this week's Top Rope segment of the week.
So the best thing that happened in wrestling this week was the man who asked you the question, who wants to walk with Elias? Elias attacking Seth Rollins. So during the show, we're watching the match. Like I said, Intercontinental Championship match. Seth Rollins defends the title against Jinder Mahal. I'm sitting there with Corey from the Wrestling Marks of Excellence, my brother, who you've heard me mention on the show a few times. And Corey brings up a good point. He says, you know what? Win or lose, Seth may not have a placement on Money in the Bank. Well, not so much now. Elias attacked him with the guitar as Seth Rollins was standing above on the tables or near the announce tables. And I believe he was standing on a chair, he was elevated, and Elias cracked him. And I thought it was beautiful. It shows that not only is he out there every week as a gimmick just to make noise, but he will be somebody who will be in the title picture, the Intercontinental title picture. Put him in the match with Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. I'm for it. You know, on the Survivor Series episode, the real Dwayne Allen said, like, this guy is one wardrobe change away. Matter of fact, let's roll that sound.
When you look at this guy, big burly guy, beefed up, full beard. He's got I think he's one wardrobe change away from being a big time player, a huge I think somebody can really beef up on the mid card, because you see him, like I said, he has this whole Bram look, and like Bram, I love Bram's look. Like I was like, man, this guy looks like $1 million to me. Mm-hmm. He looks like James Storm if James Storm was in shape. Okay, that's how I look at those guys. And I think Elias Sampson, he's a heat seeker. Okay, I mean, he comes out there, he knows what to say and how to get people got, and he does the same thing over and over again and never gets old. That's when you know you're good at something.
All right, like I said, that was from our Survivor Series episode on the Wrestling Realm, which you can find on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. One of the things the real Dwayne Allen said was a wardrobe change. You imagine if Elias had on shorts and he, wore like the traditional wrestler's outfit, or if he just wore tights. To me, his presentation would look completely different. And, when TRDA said that, I was like, wow, he got a point. Only time will tell, but I would love to see this guy become the Intercontinental Champion. I do think we get this match at Money in the Bank. Only time will tell, though. But he's a major player, and I mean, he had a good spot at WrestleMania. He had a good spot at Backlash, and now he's getting an actual match. More than likely, let's put that out there. More than likely, especially with the pay-per-views going to 4 hours. I believe this probably be a 4-hour pay-per-view. With that happening, I do think that he will be at Money in the Bank. So, moving on. Let's go on to SmackDown, which was, in my opinion, the match of the night. The New Day defeated The Miz and The Bar. One of the things about this match was who was going to win. Like, you just didn't know who was going to win. I do love the New Day and The Bar. I do think that's one of those team matchups that you can always go back to at any given time when the time is right, just because, like, the chemistry is amazing. And it's been long enough where we haven't seen them do battle. The Miz is just the Miz. It's the reason why he probably will go down as the greatest Intercontinental Champion ever. So, but like I said, that was definitely the match of the night. And last week, my tapped out was probably the worst segment in wrestling history. And you know what? No, the second worst. I'm going to say the second worst because I don't think anything gets worse than Katie Vick. I hit up the View from the Top Rope podcast, and I asked them, was that the worst segment? And they kept reminding me that, yes, no, it wasn't as bad as Katie Vick. And yeah, they had a point. Make sure you check them out on iTunes and SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast from. But the tapped out was definitely Bobby Lashley's sisters. Well, this week, Sami Zayn came out there and apologized about everything. And he apologized to Bobby Lashley about what he did. And it was just weird, man. It led to, and for those who didn't go, in Virginia, the dark match, you know how every Raw and SmackDown have a dark match afterwards, just give the crowd something special. Dark match was was Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley, and with Kevin Owens getting interfered, and obviously Braun Strowman coming out there, so you can imagine how that went. But This is another match. I think they made the match official. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I do think they made the match official for Backlash. It only makes sense. Sami Zayn. Why do I want to keep calling him the Miz? Sami Zayn taking on Bobby Lashley. I would love to see Sami Zayn win this match. I want to see what they do with Bobby Lashley, but I would love to see an upset here. But for this week's Tapped Out.
Here's our tapped out segment of the week.
So my tapped out this week is Bobby Roode. Why is he a face? I'm sitting here watching this guy, and he brags about being glorious. I understand people like to cheer. I understand people like to sing the song. But when he was in NXT as a heel, he was so arrogant, and he was so like a guy that the women loved to look at, and the men hated him because they didn't look like him. What is the problem? I will not understand that. I would try to give it a chance, but it's been long enough. He's been on the main roster long enough. I need a heel Bobby Roode. Just being there and just seeing us, I'm like, this dude should be a heel by now. That is my tapped out for this week. Hopefully that will change soon. I would love to see him double cross somebody. Truth be told, I wish he was still on SmackDown. It would have been perfect to have him double cross AJ Styles or AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan. Nonetheless, let's make Bobby Roode a heel again. Let's take another break.
What is up, people? This is Sean Williams, host of Variety Bites and The Shark Attack, and you are listening to Break It Down with my good friend, Mr. Wrestling Knowledge himself, Mr. Main Event, Brian H. Waters, right here on Podbean.
All right, that is the one and only, the Shark, Sean Williams. Got 2 different podcasts coming out. Got a wrestling podcast, The Shark Attack, and Variety Bites, where he's going to talk about any and everything. Very opinionated, but it's a very intelligent opinion. So I tell you, make sure you check out his show, which will also be right here on Podbean. Now, let's get into Monday Night Raw again, about the man, the guy, not a good guy, not a bad guy, but the guy, Roman Reigns. So Roman wasn't on Raw this past week for, he's taking a vacation. Just kind of, I'm assuming AJ Styles is doing the same thing. But this past, there was some tweets that went out, and I was listening to the Big Gold Belt podcast, and they really went in, which I urge you to check them out. But it was discussing how, somebody had came up to Roman. A guy came up to him, and then he said, apparently Roman was out with his family and, doing the family thing, feeding his son. And the guy came up to him, asked for a picture for his daughter, and he said, look, man, I don't get to see my family. And he said, he brushed him off, and the guy went above and beyond, went on the internet and said Roman brushed off his daughter and disappointed her. And it's just one of those things where, I'm, as somebody who has a couple of friends and associates in the business, and somebody who worked in the entertainment world at ESPN and being used to being around celebrities, the last thing they want to deal with is just people just running up to them. Like, you have to remember, these people have lives as well. Roman Reigns, a guy who does not get to see his family as often as other people would, and pretty sure as often as he like. As he says, he reminds people, like, he's paying for college. The WWE is will help him pay for their college someday. So it's like, you're really going to run up to this man, bombard him while he's feeding his child. And mind you, he has small children. And then get mad. And, so I remember when the wrestlers were coming out in Baltimore, and they was on their way to their cars, and they was leaving out. And I heard a lady say, we pay your bills. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, really? I don't know. I guess I'm just one of those people that hate that sentiment that we pay your bills. You would be nothing without us. No, that's not true, because even if they wasn't a wrestler, they probably have just another skill in something else. So it just doesn't. Nobody has the right to just run up to anybody and demand an autograph. But that's my little 2 cents. I'm off my soapbox. Back to Monday Night Raw. Finn Balor took on Braun Strowman, a rematch from last week, until the match was interrupted. And, I'm just sitting there, and I watched the match, and the dynamic between Balor and Braun is very interesting, but it's a fun dynamic, It's my first time seeing Finn Balor wrestle in person. And seeing him take on a guy like Braun, where he looked like he was about to have him beat. But then, outside interference from Kevin Owens. And what was cool was Owens trying to hurry up and get out of town. And unfortunately, Kurt Angle caught up with him and said, no, you're going to wrestle tonight. And so, but that was, one of a few highlights of Raw. I have to admit, when you're at a Monday Night Raw, it's different, because if you're not there, you say, oh man, I'm gonna flip the channel, especially last night, or I should say I'm recording this on Tuesday, especially Monday night, when you had the NHL Stanley Cup final, game 1 between the Washington Capitals and the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and then you had game 7 of the NBA Western Conference Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. Congratulations to the Warriors, 4 straight final appearances in a row. So you sit there and you're like, wait, I really want to watch Monday Night Raw? Now, I'm not going to lie. I was in the arena in that last 3 minutes of the third period of the hockey game. I definitely had my phone and I was watching it. No disrespect to wrestling, but I wanted to see what was going on. But when you're there, it's a completely different experience. And I want you guys to tweet me. Tweet me a time. Let me know a time when you went to a show and you went back and watched it on TV, or you heard people talk about it different on TV. You was like, wait, wasn't that good? You thought it was good. I'll give you another one. WrestleMania 28. I loved, and still do, love the match between The Rock and John Cena. A lot of people didn't like that match. A lot of people still was like, oh, that was crap. We waited a year for what? I tried to watch it from a different perspective as somebody who wasn't there, somebody who it wasn't their first WrestleMania and first WrestleMania main event. I couldn't. I really couldn't. I was like, this match is great. So, but, that's just me, so, let's 205 Live. Did you watch it this week? If you haven't, please go out of your way and check it out. Cedric Alexander took on Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship, and it was Cedric retaining the title, and as the guy who writes his crazy opinions like to say, a 5-star match. I was sitting here watching it as I was recording the show, so I watched it on mute. And if I could watch a wrestling match on mute and I still get excited, I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Now, as I'm in between edits, I unmuted the button, and the way the presentation from the announcers was just phenomenal. So I definitely urge each and everybody to check out the match, because you will not be disappointed. Let's get a break from my new buddies over at Talkamania.
What's up, guys? This is the boys from Talkamania, and you're listening to Break It Down with Brian H., brought to you by The Wrestling Realm.
Shout out to the homies at Talkamania. They actually ran a contest a few weeks ago, and I won. I won on Twitter, so I'll be getting a t-shirt. It should be here in the mail a couple of days. So, of course, I'm going to post it. I loved it. Like I said, I've said this before. I'm a huge podcast person, so instead of listening to music and getting my mind cluttered with a whole bunch of junk, I tend to listen to wrestling podcasts and sports entertainment and some sports stuff and some newsworthy stuff. And I even listened to the one produced by Dwayne Johnson. Oh, we know him as The Rock. He has a podcast that he produces called What Really Happened. And they go into different conspiracy stuff. So, so I learn a lot more. I'm not really learning when I'm listening to music, but when I'm listening to podcasts, I'm learning. So, much rather do that. So, now, let's go ahead and talk about this food fight that happened on Monday Night Raw. All right, so you had the B team going out there, and they went to Kurt Angle and told him simply, we deserve a title shot. We won 2 matches. And Angle had to remind them, like, y'all beat the Breezango twice. That doesn't warrant you a title shot. You have to win over the crowd. Win over the tag team division. And I loved how these guys decided to have a Memorial Day barbecue. Of course, it's Memorial Day, right? So in wrestling, we know on holidays it's important that you got to have some type of food, and so you can have a food fight. What was the most entertaining thing about the food fight was the fact that Rhino was sitting there the whole time while they're throwing food, just eating. And they used to call him the man beast, and that's exactly what he looked like. He's like, all right, y'all can throw this food if y'all want. But I did love how Titus O'Neil called it bootleg, and said it wasn't even no ribs and macaroni and cheese. Not that I would think I would want Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel fixing me macaroni and cheese, but nonetheless, it was entertaining, definitely fun. Saw a lot of people tweet about it. I really want to see where they go with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. These guys are hilarious. Could they be the guys that take the tag team titles from Woken and what were they? Woken Worlds? Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy. Only time will tell. I don't think so, because I think they got to be more serious. But you never know. Moving on to NXT. Last week, the Velveteen Dream and Ricochet teamed up to go against Lars Sullivan. Now, I'm watching this match, and those two look like a heavily old machine. The tags, the quick tags, the chemistry between Ricochet and Velveteen Dream was on point. But then the accidental bump happened. What did that do? That led to Velveteen Dream hitting his finisher on Ricochet and walking out. That's what I'm talking about. Let this rivalry continue. The last thing I wanted to do is see these guys become a tag team and go after NXT tag team titles. So let these guys continue. And speaking of Velveteen Dream, John Cena put this guy over. He said straight up that this is the guy who could be that he would want to face. And he was asked would it be him, Adam Cole, I believe the other person may have been Ricochet. But he said Velveteen Dream. Now, when you got John Cena putting you over, you're in pretty good company. Let's be real. The guy is, in my opinion, the greatest WWE superstar to ever step foot in that company. Even some people may say it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Some people may say it's The Rock. Some people, like myself, would have said maybe it's Hulk Hogan. Some people say Shawn Michaels. Most people say Shawn Michaels. But when I look at a complete superstar, and I'm talking about the guy who made the business mainstream, the guy, there's no doubt Austin's the most popular ever. There'll probably be nobody who will outdo Stone Cold Steve Austin as far as popularity. But when you even look at it, it was only like 45 years. John Cena, over 10, closer to 15 years, he's been doing this, and he's been a top guy. That's the reason why I think he's the greatest WWE superstar ever. And if he's speaking up for Velveteen Dream, only time will tell. Right now, it's still hard for me to see the Dream as the WWE champion or Universal champion. But what do I know? I'm not in the booking room. So, but speaking of dreams, this guy lost his dream job, and many may say he lost his mind. That is the one, the only Enzo Amore. Enzo just dropped a song, and he pretty much disses the girl who wrongfully accused him of sexual assault, which is something that's terrible. Like, that's not something you want to do. That's not something you play with. As a man who is a father of a daughter who has sisters and a wife, I would never want anybody to do any harm to them, but I would never want them to lie about it either. I mean, the guy really, his career was killed. Let's be real. Like, how do you bounce back from that? Now, I said this before, it wasn't so much that, obviously it was the fact that was out there. But there's always, for cases like this, people reserve judgment. And I think what happened with the WWE, he already didn't have the best reputation in the locker room. So it was like, okay, well, now we got an excuse to get rid of you, especially the fact he did not tell. If you're being wrongfully accused or you know this is coming, you need to tell somebody, say, hey, look, this is the situation. I'm innocent. And you go from there. That way it doesn't appear you be hiding anything. But yeah, Enzo Amore dropped a music video. Tweet me your thoughts on it. Let me know at Brian H. Waters at Wrestling Realm. What did you think about it? Because personally, I thought it was whack. But, it is what it is. Let's take a final break of the evening before we get into the final segments.
What's up, you guys? This is Brianna Dahlquist, the founder and CEO of Not For Sale ATL. Our mission is to end human trafficking in the Atlanta area. You can join our movement by purchasing a t-shirt at notforsaleatl.com, where 20% of all proceeds will go to Crossroad Ministries. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at notforsaleatl. Now back to Break It Down with Brian H., brought to you by the Wrestling Realm.
So, just like I don't play when it comes to sexual assault or sexual abuse, I don't play when it comes to human trafficking. I would love to see these things end. Shout out to Brianna, who's taking that step forward to do that. And that's the reason why, I try to help her get the word out using this platform. So it is time for Wrestling for the Culture.
It's time for Wrestling for the Culture, where we take a look inside to see what the wrestlers of color have been doing this week.
So this week's Wrestling for the Culture, The Rock, the People's Champion, got his own shoe. You already know that Rock is definitely under the Under Armour brand. So now he has his own shoe. Those will retail about $140, I believe. I might even have to check those out. We also saw Leo Rush making a music video. Keith Lee wrestled his final matches on the indie circuit, including a match at Beyond with the one and only Nia Jax. Booker T had the one and only, the 4-time NBA champion Shaquille O'Neal on his podcast. And last but not least, MVP became a 2-time world-class pro wrestling heavyweight champion. So that is this week's Wrestling for the Culture, which you can find on thebrianhwaters.com, brought to you by Amazon. And make sure you follow the homies over at Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram. Now it's time for your questions.
And now for this week's questions from the realm.
So, from the realm this week, we only got 2 questions. So, shout out. And guess what? They're from 2 ladies. So, shout out to them. Thanks for the questions. We'll start with the one and only Miss Jaleesa, who you can find at amazing_J2698. And she says her question for this week is, do I think Raw should go back to being 2 hours instead of 3? So, I've been very vocal about this on different shows. The business side and the television producer side of me understands why Monday Night Raw is 3 hours. You sell more advertising. There's an opportunity because everybody will want a piece of it. So advertisers, they're still competing, no doubt. But you look at, say, like Kellogg's, they might say, hey, I want to get a piece of Monday Night Raw. And then General Mills might say, well, they want to be advertised on Monday Night Raw. So it's more advertising. That means more money. However, from a wrestling standpoint, and a wrestling fan of me would love for it to go back to 2 hours. 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock is enough. Personally, I wouldn't mind if it was 8 to 10 like SmackDown is on Tuesday. Let's be real. It's just when it's 2 hours, it felt better. Was all shows like great? No. But it just felt like SmackDown. When you watch it, when SmackDown is great, as it's been the past few months, when it's over, it's like, wow, that's it. And I, as a person who played drums in church, I was always told, you never want to see people glad to see you twice. That means glad to see you come, then glad to see you leave. And I feel like that was the case with Monday Night Raw. Yesterday was my first, this past Monday, first time I've been to a Monday Night Raw where I saw a plethora of people leave. And I'm like, wow. Like, it wasn't, in a lot of times people will leave, 3 hours can be much, but no, it was like quite a few people were leaving. And I'm not sure if it's because Roman was on the show, wasn't on the show. I'm not sure it's because they didn't care for the women's main event. I would not want to put that on them. But it was just like, wow, a lot of people are really leaving. So, Jaleesa, I do think that I would love to see it go back to 2 hours, but I understand why they will not. Thanks for your question, and thanks for your continued support. Jaleesa's a new fan of the show, and each and every week she's listening to let me know she's enjoying it. And last question is from Miss Lauren Ford at former Volley Girl 5. That's 4, the number 4, MER, Volley Girl 5. Her question: is it too early to talk SummerSlam Dream matches, and do I have any? No, it's never too early to talk SummerSlam Dream matches. My SummerSlam Dream match, honestly, would be AJ Styles or Samoa Joe. Now, you might say, hey, we've seen this match before. We've seen it in TNA. Absolutely. But can you imagine that match being on the second biggest pay-per-view in the WWE? Like, how cool would that be? AJ Styles or Shinsuke Nakamura. Another match I would love to see, people want to crush me for this one, Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. People look at Brock Lesnar as somebody who's, a beast, but you never hear the word reckless with him. Now, Dean Ambrose might say something different because that match was just like weird. But that's a match I really would love to see, Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar. So those are a couple of SummerSlam Dream matches. Obviously, I got to throw some women's matches in there. You have Sasha Banks and Naomi. That's a match where you can kind of tell the story of the former Team Bad and, round a circle. Tamina versus Nia Jax, 2 family members. So those are 4 SummerSlam Dream matches. Let me know yours. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up. Another episode in the books, episode 12 of Break It Down with Brian H. Thank you, each and every one of you, for listening. Wow, it's been 12 weeks already. I've been doing this. Time flies when you're having fun. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel where you can see not only you can get this podcast, but you can get all the shows that the real Dwayne Allen and I have done over the years, such as the rise, the downfall of WCW, the top Intercontinental Champions, top WWE Champions, worst WWE Champions. Dwayne Allen has Hulk Hogan in there. You might wonder, why is Hulk Hogan in there? Here's the question: which title run? That's why you gotta check the show out. Make sure you also subscribe if maybe you don't have an iPhone. Guess what? I got you covered on Google Play. Maybe you don't like either one of those platforms. Guess what? Got you covered on Stitcher. So, thank you for joining, ladies and gentlemen. So long, everybody.